Welcome to another episode of Formula One and Done, and we're going to be taking a look at round 3 of the 2025 Formula One Championship that was in Japan. And I've had the privilege of spending quite a bit of time in Japan, and I've been to the Suzuka circuit. It is an incredible circuit. It's just got so many great vantage points, and you can see so many corners in the track no matter where you stand. It's and all the drivers say that it's one of their favorite tracks on the calendar. So yeah, make sure you check out my video on that if you are thinking of seeing the Japanese Grand Prix in person. But in terms of covering the race, welcome if you're new to the channel. Just for time purposes, I don't do all these fancy edited videos, so these videos are designed to listen to rather than watch. But in terms of the rundown of the Grand Prix, obviously the big story going in was the replacement of Liam Lawson with Yuki Tsunoda. I don't normally do videos like in between races, but I thought that this was a big one, and I covered that in a separate video. It's a very long, comprehensive video, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But if you want to see more of that, check the separate video out. But I think in summary, I think Red Bull made the right decision at the wrong time. I think they should have chosen Yuki Tsunoda for the beginning of this year. It made sense. He's been in the team for 4 years. He's had a lot thrown at him from young rookie drivers like Nick De Vries to older experienced veterans like Daniel Ricciardo. He's been able to beat them. He copped a lot of criticism early in his career for not being disciplined and all that sort of stuff. He moved to Italy to be near the team. He's improved a lot of his communication. He's a lot calmer, etc., etc. So I think he's a lot more of a complete driver, and it just seemed a really big risk to go with Liam Lawson. I just don't see why they wouldn't have let him have a complete year from start to finish in the team. So I really do. I think it was almost an insult to Yuki that they, all the discussion was, well, do we keep Checo or do we replace him with Liam? And I'm thinking, what about Yuki? But in saying that, I think that it was a really tough decision to put Liam, to demote him after just 2 races. I mean, that is next level harsh. So yeah, I think they got to the right answer the wrong way. Of course, a big Grand Prix as well for Yuki Tsunoda in his home Grand Prix, and also the last Grand Prix, at least for now, for Honda, given that they will be exiting the sport as the engine supplier for both Red Bull and Racing Bulls, because I believe Red Bull is going to essentially be taking over that and developing their own engines, which is, I guess, a good thing for. Yeah, well, I think it's very sad to see Honda leave, but either way, you don't want to see a Red Bull go back to having a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a Renault engine. But in terms of the race in general, while we're on the subject of Red Bull, how ironic that Isaac Hadjar was beat both Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. Great young lad. I actually met him after the F2 race in the 2024 Australian Grand Prix. Just the nicest, down-to-earth guy. He let me have photos holding his trophy and everything. He was so chill. It's probably different now that he's in his Formula One, but he's openly said that he's a huge Lewis Hamilton fan, which is interesting because the first half of the race he had Lewis breathing down his neck. Lewis did eventually pass Isaac Hadjar, and that was the only overtake, or that was the only position swap in the top 10. So it was, I hate to admit it, but it was a super boring race. There really wasn't anything exciting going on at all. But yeah, it was definitely nice to see Isaac Hadjar finish there in 8th position, which is his first F1 points, I believe, unless I'm not sure about the sprint race in China, but certainly from a Grand Prix. And aside from Max, he was the only one that scored points, given that Liam and Yuki didn't. So you just can't make this stuff up. Who knows? In 2 races, we might see Isaac Hadjar in the main Red Bull seat. That seems to be Red Bull's approach. Just throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. But yeah, I mean, I think everything else, I mean, qualifying was quite similar to the race. It was quite interesting. So usually the Japanese Grand Prix is towards the end of the season. In recent years, it's been in October. Of course, going way back to sort of the late 80s and early 90s, it was at times the last Grand Prix of the race. Remember those famous years with Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. But of course, the advantage of having it in April is that it is cherry blossom season. So it was very cool to see the cherry blossoms around the track. But the track looked very dry, which was sort of quite interesting to me. I mean, Japan's seasons are a bit strange to me, at least, because in Australia we have very dry, hot summers and very wet winters, but in Japan you sort of have typhoon season, and that they tend to have very wet period going into summer and then going into winter. So their winters can be quite dry. So given that, but it's still, to me, I still associate winter with rain, but the track looked incredibly dry and just brown. And then we saw quite a few fires on the side of the track from sparks, which was, something that you don't see. I think we saw it in China, was it last year? But yeah, generally something you don't really see, but didn't see that in the race. I'm not sure. It looked quite a bit cooler on the Sunday, but they might have also put water or foam or something on the side of the track. I'm not entirely sure there. But look, I mean, the race itself, I think, honestly, was, as I said, just really super boring. Full credit to Max Verstappen, just showing just how talented he is. His 4th Japanese Grand Prix win in a row. It's pretty clear, I think, that the McLarens were the fastest, but Norris and Piastri just couldn't get past him. They talked about it a lot in the commentary throughout the race, why Mercedes didn't use a different strategy. I mean, you have 2 cars at the front. It just seems very, very strange to me why they wouldn't split the strategies and try to pressure Red Bull. It might have worked, it might not, but they just seem to almost just be content with second and third. And I mean, even towards the end of the race, Piastri genuinely looked faster than Norris. He got within sort of 4 or 5 tenths, and I have no doubt that Norris was compromising him. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, but you're Australian and you're favouring the Australian driver." No, I mean, I just wanted to see a race. I wanted to see them, fight at the front regardless. And in some ways, I didn't want McLaren to swap them, because I think that would have made sense. Let Piastri pass Norris, have a go at Max, and then if he couldn't get Max, give the position back to Norris. But I almost didn't want that, because I thought, well, Piastri looks faster than Norris anyway, and so even if they don't get the win, at least Piastri might get past Norris. But they did. I don't even know if they were allowed to race. Even after the race, Piastri was just sort of like, I'm not really sure what we were what we were doing. And I think in fairness, I think McLaren sort of did that a little bit last. I mean, I hate to admit, but I think they probably should have favoured Norris a bit earlier last year, particularly in the Monza Grand Prix. From memory, I think Piastri finished 2nd and Norris 3rd, and I'm just thinking, why didn't they swap them? It's not a win that Piastri would have given up, so the difference between 2nd or 3rd doesn't really matter. So I think McLaren still haven't really made that jump, I think, to, hey, we're a team that is vying for a driver and Constructor World Championship. They just seem to be making these kind of, errors, I think. Or maybe not errors, but just, I think, lapses in judgment. But honestly, I don't think there was really much else to talk about the race. A few minor stories here and there. Sainz was very slow again in the Williams, but I'm not going to waste your time. I think the race overall was just super boring. The last thing I will say is I really enjoyed Jacques Villeneuve, 1997 world champion, of course, in that famous fight with Michael Schumacher at Suzuka. And I've actually seen him talk live. And I have to say, generally, I'm not a fan of him because I think he's just so negative and he just runs everybody down. But I thought he did a fantastic job in the commentary. And look, I really think Crofty does a great job, and I think Martin Brundle is just gold. Um, but at the same time, it does get a bit tiring sometimes when you have two British drivers, and I think they definitely do favour the British drivers. The British commentators favour the British drivers, and particularly there's a few of them now on the grid. It was refreshing, I think, particularly when you had that incident between Verstappen and Norris, and Crofty was, Verstappen forced Norris off the track, and Jack was like, well, no, McLaren actually shouldn't have. It was an unsafe release, and so it was good having that, balance, I think, in the commentary. But as always, thank you for listening along. I would love to know what you guys thought in the comment section, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for round 4.